Did you know that about 20% of all the Magic cards were printed in the last 2 years? It's easy to forget them, so we're here to tell you the good ones.
Sol Ring is the most sold card on Cardmarket almost every week.
This is Fele, our Commander expert, and we start right away with number 5, it's Nature's Will. Nature's Will says, whenever one or more creatures you control deal combat damage to a player, tap all lands that player controls and untap all lands you control. So this is a card people are sleeping on and should put in their deck. Tell us why.
It's basically sort of Feast of Famine, but it costs 1 mana less, and it makes all your creatures do the effect, right? I mean, without the protection, of course.
Lend us through an example. I have 3 creatures, and I attack a person that has no creatures. What happens?
Well, first of all, you can attack all your opponents. You just have to go through with one of your creatures, and then you untap all your lands.
Wait, so does this stack if you have 3 opponents?
No.
Does that mean you can float your
effect ones?
That's unfortunate.
Unfortunately.
So is Feast of Famine played in Commander?
Yeah, it's one of the big staples.
Okay, so this is like Feast and Famine at home.
So just like Sword of Feast and Famine, it effectively doubles your mana.
It's a do-nothing enchantment, but it will pay for itself in almost any situation where you play it, because you can attack, get your mana back, and do something else.
So do you play this in big green ramp decks, or do you play this in aggressive decks like Gruul with a lot of creatures?
I think it's basically a card that can go in any green budget deck, because it's used to be a very expensive card. And also I think that's the reason why people don't really know about this card, because it was recently reprinted in the Enchanted Tales bonus sheet of Wilds of Eldraine.
So what you're saying is people wanted to play it, looked it up, it was way too expensive because it wasn't reprinted, forgot about it, and now, since it's achievable, they don't really think about it because for them it's a really pricey card.
It's like all the Portal 3 Kingdoms cards that were like 300 euro and now are about €1 when they reprint them.
Also, the Enchanted Tales bonus sheet had so many really good reprints, especially for Commander.
Utopia Sprawl.
Exactly. I mean, more like a Pauper thing, I think, but also nice in Commander.
Also.
Yeah. What I love about this card is you can play it, deal your damage, and then untap it. So you use your mana right away to protect it or to make sure you're advancing even more. So even if they're gonna kill it, you got some value out of it, and that's the most important.
So these are cards that people are sleeping on. What would you say on average is the perceived power of this card in the general Commander community? You know yourselves at home.
Probably a 5.
Oh, yeah. You guys tell us if you think it's a 5. What do you think is not the perceived power? What is the actual power?
I would give this a 7.5 at least. I think it's up there with Sword of Feast and Famine. It has upsides and downsides, so yeah.
Okay, I can't wait to tell you about number 4. Last one, it's a pretty cool card, but it was green. So now we're gonna talk about a blue card. Have you heard the gospel of Spell Swindle? Spell Swindle is a counterspell that not only lets you counter your opponent's spell, but it lets you create X treasure tokens, and X is that spell's converted mana cost. It's mana value in current Magic terms, which is awesome, because in Commander, people love playing big spells, and then you get to have big amounts of treasure tokens. None of the words I said are unfun.
To be honest, the way Carl is excited, I don't think somebody's sleeping on it, or Carl's just really hype on that card.
Okay, I don't play a lot of Commander, but I do play Cube, and in Cube, Mana Drain is an incredibly powerful card. 2 mana, counter target spell, make X mana. Treasures allow you to make colored mana of any color. They stay on the board, so you don't have to use them immediately. And also, they're tokens. They're artifact. You can copy them. They add to your affinity count. How is this card in Commander? How is this not good?
I recently played this card. I counted an Entreated Dead for X is 10, so it made me 13 treasure tokens. I played a Warp World deck, so yeah. It was awesome.
Legend. How can you hear that and not think this card is awesome?
I'm not the biggest fan of counterspells on Commander whatsoever. I think if you're playing counterspells, you're doing something wrong. And I'm talking to all of you. I know, you all play counterspells you shouldn't play. Because when you counter a spell, you don't get anything for it, right? But Spell Swindle has the thing that it still gets you something when you do it, and that something can be amazing. You know, people play Arcane Denial. I can gank behind Arcane Denial because you get the card back, right? And Spell Swindle is a point where you counter something, you get the value, and everybody loves you.
Arcane Denial has this fun extra thing where if someone has a really bad card in hand, you can tell them to play it, and I'll trade it for 2 cards.
Technically, we only have 1 space, number 3. But this time, we're actually having 2 cards because it's a split card.
Bending the rules.
Yes, it's 2 effects in 1, and that's why it's so powerful. It's Repudiate, Replicate. One side says counter target activated or triggered ability, and the other side says create a token that's a copy of target creature you control. Now, each one of them, not really impressive. But both of them, you get a nice mix of individuality that every situation has something you want.
I mean, you're saying not impressive. 3 mana, copy any creature you have on a battlefield. That's already like a floor that I love. This is 2 Seedborn Muses, 2 Dockside Extortionists. Yes, please. I'm already down for that, right?
So how many things do you counter their activated ability in Commander? How commonly does this come up?
Is you can the effect is called Stifle, right? From the first card that could do this, and you can stifle so many things in Commander. I love to stifle Saga Chapter effects. I love to stifle powerful Planeswalker effects, right?
You don't sound like a fun person to play Commander with.
I mean,
oh, you love this nice Commander effect? Oh, this Saga!
Yes, it's a bit of a mean card, definitely, but then you have the non-mean side of making a token, right? You can be nice, you can be mean. It's a cool thing about it.
You can give it and take it away.
Exactly.
Oh.
So if you have to put a distribution, how much would you say the staff effect comes up versus the token?
I play this card in every green-blue deck that I have. And 75%, I just at some point make a nice token copy of something, and it's just value, and it's nice. 25%, there's just this really bad thing. Like you're playing against an Esika deck, right? And you need this one more turn to remove their commander, or else they pop off and they win the game. And this card it stifles it once, and it gives you this one more turn, right?
The cool part about stifle effects is they never see it coming. And it's always this kind of, okay, I'm through. Now nothing can stop me. And then you say stifle, and they're like, what is even happening?
And if you're really, really feeling mean, you can just stifle a fetch land. Do you know what's a really good card in Commander?
Spell Swindle.
The credit card.
Yes, I'm talking about Teferi's Protection.
Would have been my next guy.
So my next card is different. No, it's not. It's almost there. It's Comeuppance.
The underrated.
It's Teferi's Protection at home.
Have you heard of Teferi's Protection?
It's criminally underplayed. What is Comeuppance? I'll be honest, I've never even heard of that card.
The name is pretty funny.
Comeuppance is an instant that says prevent all damage that would be dealt to you and planeswalkers you control is done by sources you don't control. If damage from a creature source is prevented this way, Comeuppance deals that much damage to that creature. If damage from a non-creature source is prevented this way, Comeuppance deals that much damage to that source's control.
It also gives you time to go get a sandwich while your opponent reads the card because there's so much text on it.
Yes.
So, in easy terms, it kills every creature that has even stats.
Yes.
Or higher power.
Or higher,
yeah.
yeah. And prevents something like, what is it? Damage
So
if your opponent fireballs you for 40, haha, they got it coming.
Doesn't happen that much in Commander, but yeah, I mean, could. I think the important thing here is like the combat aspect of the card. Like say you attack and your opponent plays a Comeuppance and basically wipes your board in your own turn, right? You're completely open to all the attacks of your other opponents. So this can just turn around the game like that.
It's a bit like Settle the Wreckage, right? Only without the annoying downside that your opponent gets the value. Which in
Exactly.
Commander, getting lands is even good.
You don't want your opponent necessarily to get 6 lands even in turn 10, right? So this is like...
What I love about this is not only when you play that once, people are annoyed, but if you get to be the Comeuppance guy, right? They look at you like, oh, they always have
Yeah,
it.
I'm not attacking the Comeuppance guy.
Yeah, and you have like your fair mana for an instant that draws cards. It's like, come at me, try me.
Yeah. And sometimes someone lightning bolts you and you just... Do you lightning bolt people in Commander? Is that a thing you do?
No. Before we get to number 1, we have an honorable mention that is, as usual, in the link article below from Inside. It has a card that might easily win you a game on the spot with nobody noticing it. Check it out, it's really cool. But our number 1, I love it because it has so many applications. It's a jack of all trades. It's Mirage Mirror.
Ooh, the Swiss Army knife of Commander cards.
Yes, indeed.
So, we could list all of the functions of Mirage Mirror, but let me read it first because that's kind of important. It's very short, but the implications are enormous. It says, for activating of 2 mana, it becomes a copy of target artifact, creature, enchantment, or land until end of turn. Now, why would I pay 2 mana for that every time?
It's a Gaia's Cradle, it's a Maze of Ith, it's...
Wait, if it's a Gaia's Cradle, you lose one of your Gaia's Cradles.
Oh, I mean, if you already have a Gaia's Cradle, you might not copy it, but you can copy with this anything on the battlefield, also your opponent's stuff, right?
Oh,
So
that's
your
an
opponent-
important
Yes,
caveat. I
that's
didn't
the important thing.
realize.
You need a big blocker, you copy your opponent's Ulamog. You need a Gaia's Cradle, you copy that.
I love considering a Ulamog as a blocker.
I mean, it's if you need a big blocker.
It's a good block.
It's not a lie. That is correct.
If you just get attacked by an Ulamog, you know what kills an Ulamog? Well, nothing.
Neither.
Yeah, the way you can basically react to everything is insane, and most of the time you're playing something with 3-player, right? You have the best thing they have at their board, no matter what, you can also have access to.
Can you copy your opponent's Dark Depths?
Yes.
Yes.
Very cool.
And you know what it does then?
Am I right, Laj?
An instant token.
Because it doesn't have any ice counters on it.
Yes, very good.
Absolutely.
Wow.
Where it gets really crazy is something probably even the people that Mirage Mirror don't know, because that card has a hidden effect that you can use it multiple, even though it says only once. So it makes a copy of something, let's say a Gaia's Cradle, right? Your opponent has a Gaia's Cradle, you can tap 4 mana, use the ability once, make it into a Gaia's Cradle, and then before that happens, make it into something else that you want to use the mana for. So then it becomes a Gaia's Cradle, you can use the mana from the Cradle, and then it becomes something else, and then it's something else for the rest of the turn, but you made 6 mana from your Cradle. That works with a lot of things, especially if you can make it somehow untap, then it's crazy, you can make mana, it's insane. Sometimes when you see Mirage Mirror, it's also the last thing you see because the game ends at that point.
When I started Commander like 5 years ago, in my playgroup, everybody was playing Mirage Mirror in almost every deck. But nowadays, I sit down with newer players and they ask me, what is this card? And newer players don't know about this card. So this is like become a real sleeper and people should play it more often, try it out.
You also have this opportunity to put it in any of your commander decks because it's an artifact.
Right. It's like a Soul Ring.
It's basically Soul Ring.
It's a 2 mana.
It could be a Soul Ring.
It can be a Soul Ring, yes.
So okay, I understand newer players don't know this card, but there are also probably older players that used to play that card but got lost what it can do. What is the craziest thing you've done with that?
I've seen a player turn the Mirage Mirror into an opponent's saga, triggering the first chapter in their main phase, and then at some point turning it into an Osolith to get rid of the lore counter, and then trigger the first chapter of the opponent's saga again.
Yes, that is crazy.
Yeah,
that
Nowadays,
is very fun.
Endless possibilities.
Yes.
And on Cardmarket right now, it's just 80 cents. Speaking of sleeper cards, you want to buy Gaia's Cradle and can't afford it? Wait till your friends buy it and then copy it for 80 cents.
People, I heard there's a really good card. It's a bit expensive, but it's very good. Oh, I will get it. Nice. You can build your own combo deck with your opponent's decks.
Yeah, you Ulamog? You can't afford an Ulamog? Yeah, it's okay, you copy it with us.
Making your friends get all the cool expensive cards and secretly stashing all the Mirage Mirrors.
Oh,
I
yeah.
love it. It's so good.